he goes down to meet me at McDonald's the next morning. I tell my wife, I'm going down to McDonald's, and he's not there. And I roll in, and it's just all drug agents and vests. You can see, I go, damn, these dudes just took someone down. Well, they took him down because he's still working while he's cooperating with them. And they look out, and I'm in my Benz S500, badass two-door coupe, and I get out, and I take off, and sure enough, here I see him coming out, man.
All right, Mark. Mark, where are you from originally? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was raised in Encinitas, California, but I was a military brat. I was in Panama for like 5 years, all over the East Coast until I was 12. Camp Lejeune, my dad was military guy, real high up. And so we traveled a lot. But I got to California when I was 12 due to some stuff that happened. I was one of the first experimental projects in integration busing in the South in the 70s at a high school or junior high school named Jacksonville Junior High. And it was a terrifying experience, to be a young kid in an environment like that, just thrust into it. And so I know what racism feels like on the other side, but I think it's a problem no matter what, but it's evident in our society. But anyway, yeah. So when I got to California, I knew that was home. Encinitas was really cool, and it is cool. It's North County, and I was already just focused on surfing and riding motocross. I'd already been riding dirt bikes as a kid and surfing a little bit on the East Coast, but it wasn't nothing like the West Coast. So, yeah, when we got out there. The whole family, we trucked out there and went to a high school, kind of like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was no question. I mean, my best friend was Todd Martin. He was the number 2 rated amateur in the United States, and they called him Spicoli. I mean, he looked just like Sean Penn, and really good surfer, and my best friend at the time. And so I got really good just by surfing with the best surfers and stuff. So. And, when you get in the surf culture, especially back then, a lot of businesses were rooted from, coke money, weed money. Back then it was mostly coke and weed getting smuggled in. And after high school, my parents would have sent me anywhere. They were really about education. And I just didn't, it wasn't for me. I wasn't extremely book smart at the time. I've read 900 books in the last 22 years now, but I've been in prison. So, yeah, I went out and started rolling with a circle of dudes that were selling Thai weed, which was popular back then, and coke. And I picked up my first federal cocaine case when I was 21, possession with intent. I was living in La Costa, and I had seen the movie Scarface, and I was like, damn, man, Tony's cool. Manny's cooler, but Tony's cool. I wish you wouldn't have killed him. But at the time, I just liked having power and some money and some, some stupidity as well as the urge to make money, though. I got caught. So, and that was it. I went into the federal system. At that point, you really couldn't get time back then for drugs. Like now, it's minimum mandatory. You get caught with 3 bricks of coke, you're getting 5-10-year minimum mandatory now. And back then, slap on the wrist, couple years, went in there, met a bunch of good connections, and ended up coming out. And literally within 60 days, I had bought a Cessna 210 or 206, and started flying loads of weed into the desert, into Palm Springs. And I'm literally on special parole. I'm doing this, and waiting to download the plane with a machine gun. I mean, like I'm like, the mentality I had was always like, I'm gonna make money or else, and I everybody's afraid of stuff, but I always had kind of a little bit more nerves of steel when it came to doing stuff. And I pulled it off, and I made a few trips and had some money, and then it just branched out from there, As I was young, I was smuggling weed, and I was selling bricks of coke.
So most of your flying was from where to where?
Cuernavaca. We were bringing in loads at that time from Cuernavaca. We would have to, we had our Cessna it was a flying bomb. It had bladder tanks on, all the seats ripped out except for the front 2, and bladder tanks on the floor, tip tanks, wing tanks, and we just shoved 500 pounds in that thing, and my boy, my brother, would fly them in, you know. We'd top off right before we came across, and that thing could make it from Cuernavaca to Palm Springs.
And you were working with the Mexican mafia? Or?
At that time, we were just working with, I had a connection at that time that just knew really good people. I'm sure they were, you know, but, you know, good growers and stuff. As life goes on, you will hear soon, like, yeah, I worked with all of them, the Ariano Felix organization, Rafa Caro Quintero, like I've been to his home in Culiacan. And, but anyway, so once I got going, I got off special parole, amazingly. I mean, like literally I was flashy. I had a 32-foot Warlock cigarette boat, and the feds were watching me. They wanted to get me, but they never could catch me. And so when I put it up for sale in San Diego down Harbor Island, you know, they came with undercovers and tried to buy it from me. And I knew the guy was either a drug dealer or a cop. You know, he's all laced in gold. And he's like, man, will you take some coke for it? And I'm like, dude, I'm on parole, man. I'm going to tell you. I said, you're either a drug dealer or a DEA agent. I said, so no, I won't. I said, just know I'm hot if you're a real drug dealer. I said, but if you want to buy the boat, I want a cashier's check or gold or cash, you know. I explicitly said that. So a week later he calls, yeah, I'm ready to do that. I got you. So I roll up and I meet at the marina again, and he goes, oh, I got it up in the room. So I'm thinking he has cash, you know. We go up the elevator's about third, fourth floor, and he knocks on the door. I'm like, why are you knocking on your own door, you know? Some dude opens the door. I mean, I clearly see, like, there's vest lines under his windbreaker, like, bad job, you know? And I look at him, I go, who's this? He goes, oh, it's just my partner. I go, all right. And the room was like a corridor that walks in and then it opens up. And so I start walking, and I turn the corner, and there's 5 bricks of coke sitting on a coffee table. And so I know I'm being filmed, and I remember the DeLorean case. I was locked up with John DeLorean. And so I look right up, I go, oh, come on, guys. Where are the cameras, man? You guys, each room's got, how many cops? I go, this is fucking entrapment. I go, I don't want your coke. I told you I wanted money. Every taped conversation you've had on me, I've explicitly said I don't want no drugs for this boat. And so anyway, long story short, it gets tense. And I look and I said, I'm leaving. So I turn around, the one stands in front of me. Like, I've had so many of these situations, and I look at him, I go, either cuff me or get the fuck out of the way, I'm leaving. And I see him look at the other guy, and he gives him the look, and I leave. 2 days later, my parole officer calls me, Ed Lichtenberger, hey, Mark, I need you to come down. I know what it's about, you know. So I go in, and Ed was cool, man. He was all right. And I went in, he goes, you've had contact with DEA? And I said, yeah, I have. And this is what happened. And I told him the whole story, and he just looked at me, and I go, you and I both know I would be arrested for conspiracy if I ever uttered that word, you know, yes, I want some coke or whatever, illegal. And so he said, all right, man, go on. And so, I mean, that's how tough it was for me to get off special parole. Like, I was busy, you know, and they knew it. And the cat and mouse games I've had with the DEA are legendary. But anyway, so I finally get off parole literally 2 days early. I don't want them to come and check me and grab me or nothing. Like, I go with my boy Scott Chandler. He's like a famous big wave surfer. And I go with him, and we went all the way to Puerto Escondido, Mexico. You got to go all the way down through Mexico City, down to Oaxaca. And I was literally sitting in Puerto Escondido on 10-foot surf. And I looked over on my little shark watch. I go, I just got off parole. It was just my innate, like, need to, like, buck up and fight. And, like, you know, I just always was against the system. And, you know, and so once I got off the parole stuff, you know, that's when things got big, you know, like I started moving loads. I had got introduced, when people take notice, you know, I had got introduced because of an incident I had while downloading a plane. I was on the gas refuel crew of another crew in Guero Negro. And we acted like we were going to Scorpion Bay to surf, and that we had a Boston whaler and we had a Blazer and had 3 55-gallon drums of gas, you know. So we're acting like we're going to Scorpion Bay, and we buck up in the middle of the desert. We're in the middle of the desert, waiting for this plane to come up. It's got like 250 pounds of coke in it from Colombia. So this guy comes in, he lands, and the thing that saved us was when I was only 18 years old at the time. When this is a little before the parole thing, but that's how I got noticed was, you know, the guy that was in charge of the download said, oh, I got a gun too. And he's about to put a shotgun in this hidden space in the trailer. And at that time, I'm a gun fanatic. I've been to the Del Mar Fair buying assault rifles. I got HK-91s, all kinds of shit. So I tell him, hey, hold on, I'm going to get a better gun. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere. thank God I did that. And I came back with an HK91 and badass 308, stuck it in the stash spot. So while we're downloading on that particular job, we see the pilot sees the dust trails in the distance. And he's sitting there eating. He's trying to get right. We're fueling and feeding him. And I believe it was feds. I don't know. They're always in charge of ripping people off or killing them. And it was a van and it was a Granada behind him. That's how long ago it was, for a Granada. And he just panicked. He didn't panic. The guy was an ex-combat Vietnam guy. And he just goes, fucking get them off me. I go, I got this. And I'm 18 and we start just getting the gas. He goes, pour the rest of the gas on the truck, the boat, get the paperwork, burn it. He's yelling commands. And here we come. Now you can see what the dust is about. We see him coming, and there's the van and the Granada, and he goes, get him off. And I just started dumping on these guys. I mean, I'm 18, man. I pissed my pants, but I had them. They were shooting out the window. I mean, they could have just been thieves, but, I like to think. But anyway, I stopped them. I stopped them about 250 meters away by putting 308s all in the front of the cars, and I loaded 30 rounds, and then I slipped, and they stopped, and someone crawled out, someone was hit, and it was just gnarly. So we burned all the boat, and we burned the boat, the evidence, and the truck. They're still going to get VIN numbers, but we took all the paperwork, and the guy that brought me down to gas it up went in the front seat with the pilot, and I had to literally lay on the coke with my machine gun, and I get motion sick, and I never forget when the plane takes off. It's a lot of weight now, it barely takes off, and so we fucking round over the top, and he tips his wing, and you can see a little situation down there that I don't want to discuss, but it was gnarly, yeah. And I mean, at my age to do that, it was. Now people are noticing you, they're like, damn, that dude's, and I got tipped real nice on that. I got one of them bricks on top of what they were paying me. That brick was worth $35,000 at the time. So that kind of gave me my jump start, and that's when I first had gotten in the business. But as I got older, I started really working with some high level people, and I ended up working, to jump ahead, not to be too long, I ended up working with, the Ariano Felixes, Wedo Palma, and all them when they had the plaza right there in TJ. And I started moving big loads of weed for them back to the East Coast, false walls. We started with U-Hauls, false walls in the front, put furniture, send it. And then I eventually got up to 18-wheelers. Now I got two 18-wheelers, and I got, really professional false compartments. And I started making a shit ton of money, at that point. Like I'm literally... At this time, I've moved my operations to Phoenix just to shake all the heat I have in California, and that's when things got big. That's when I started working with the Sinaloa guys, who had the best tunnel ever under the border, and they were bringing me just skunk weed, beautiful wraps, bales of skunk weed, and I would send those things to New York, and in 30 minutes after they downloaded it, the weed was such high quality for the time. It was like homegrown. And that's what Roth is famous for, his crew. And they would just cash me out, $400,000 in 30 minutes I'd make, like once the truck got there. So it became a thing where it was safer for me, because now I could just do one load a month during the season and make $2 million in the season, like through October, September to like February, March. And, it was... And when I was doing that, I got involved in the nightclub business and stuff like that. But long after I retired, I had moved a load in a year and a half. I'd made so much bread. I had invested in a bunch of houses in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, had one on 124th and Shea, and I met a really beautiful girl, Shauna, and I ended up marrying her. But before I married her, the feds came, and they came hard. What happened was the crew that I worked with, their driver had been bringing the loads to me from the border. And when they did that, he got to the house and, we'd download and then he'd take off. Well, I only let him see my stash houses. I never let him see my real houses. But when he came up, one time he omitted the conversation when he got pulled over with a sample, and I would run checks on people. He bailed out on a 100-pound sample of weed and didn't tell anyone he got caught with it. And so I'm running everyone in my crew. I got a guy that in the crime stuff, and I'm saying, hey, run everyone's name. I want to know who's doing what. And sure enough, he had a contact with the law then, and he had another contact going back across the border with only like 30 grand. Luckily, I was giving him $1.5 million at a time. He didn't get caught with that, but he got caught being loose with like 30 grand. So Rene, the rat, was the weak link. And I was going to kill Rene because I knew I had so much money and wealth. And so one day I have a new house on 124th and Shea. I've found out what's happened to him. I've told my other crew members. Two of them are family, grandpa, father-in-law, and my other two load house runners. I said, look, we're done. You know, Rene's been caught. He hasn't said nothing. Let's just break it up. Let's evaporate. But what I don't tell him is I go invite Rene to my new house. In my new house, I got a swimming pool. I'm building like badass, like triple size in the backyard. I got 2 acres. And the whole thing's taped off with plastic already, perfect. And I tell him to come over, and I have one of my boys in the house that I trust. And I said, look, I'm gonna smoke this dude in the pool, and I never have to worry about this case. This is the hit you wish you did. He pulls up through the gates, brand new F-350, extra cab, tinted windows, leaves it running, gets out of the car, comes up to the door. I don't realize it's running when he walks to the door. It's quiet. Hey, come on in, man. What's up? Yeah, I want to show you the pool. So I eventually lure him into the pool, and I got a silenced pistol in my waistband, and I get him to the bottom. Yeah, check it out. Let me get us some beers, you know. And I roll up there and grab a couple beers, go down. I'm just about to draw and shoot this guy in the head. And my guy in the house, hey, Mark, come here, man. Come here real quick. I say, hey, wait right here. I'll be right back. I go up. He goes, his 2 children are in the truck, and they're young, and I like them, and I love all kids. And I was just, what I should have done was just set it up for another day. And I put eyes on the kids, and there's just something in your heart, you know, you have morals, you know, and even though I should have killed him, and I said, fuck. So I rolled back to the pool, went in, drew down on him, put him on his knees, put the gun against his head. I said, listen, motherfucker, I know you've been stopped twice. You're the weak link. I was gonna fucking kill you today. Your kids are here. They saved your life. And he goes, man. I said, the money and the 100-pound sample, you fucking liar, man. I said, you leave here, you ever talk about me, I will murder you, and you know it, because you were about to die today, man. And I should have never done that. I should have just let him go and called him another day or got him somewhere else. And that was the biggest mistake I made. And sure enough, he was caught with 1 ton of cocaine on highway, 1,000 in the truck, 1,000 more. He was moving big weight with these guys, you know, and with me. And he got caught, he flipped. And so, you know, about a year after he got caught, I run into him. And the reason I run into him, I'd already disengaged with him. He literally moved into one of the houses that I used to own as a stash house, begged me to buy it. And I talked to my lawyer, Sheldon Sherman, another rat, who had put all these properties in his lawyer-client trust for me. He was laundering all my money. And I said, hey, man, this guy that drives for them wants to buy the house. And he goes, man, no way, direct link. You know, that's what I told him. I don't really want to do it. But he said his sister's a nurse, and she's remarried, has a different name. And so another mistake, we coalesce. All right, tell him to make sure it's transferred in the name immediately. I said, because he wants to move in right now. Before he moves in, I tell him, now this is before I know about him being stopped. I've already got this issue. And you know, he's just breaking his word, man. I told him, you can live here, get it transferred, do not move nothing through this house. Get it done within a month. 3 weeks later, that place gets raided. They throw concussion grenades in there, catch the whole place on fire. Nice house I remodeled. And in the fucking fireplace are Costali bags, burned, you know, sheets, inventory sheets for weed. And I had a gnarly safe room there. And you know, they found that. And then it led back to my lawyer. And then it led back to me. And all because of that one dude that I should have shot in the swimming pool, you know, that day. But he just told, and so one day I'm just driving and I run into him. 7 months later, I run into him on Shea Boulevard. And I look over and he's like, hey, he sees me. I'm in a different vehicle and everything. I'm like, hey, what's up? Pull over. I pull over. He goes, man, what have you been doing? I go, nothing. What are you up to? And he goes, man, I got loads. Man, I'm working, man. We got the weed. You ready to go again? I go, fuck no, man. I already talked to you about this shit. You know what I mean? Like I put a fucking gun to your head, man. Like, what is wrong with you? And I go, you want to do something right? I said, you owe me 40 grand. That's what it cost to fix the house. And so I go, I don't want to go to your house, nothing. Bring me that 40 grand, motherfucker. He goes, I will tomorrow. I'm so sorry, man. I'm good. He goes down to meet me at McDonald's the next morning. I tell my wife, I'm going down to McDonald's. And he's not there. And I roll in and it's just all drug agents and vests. You can see, I go, damn, these dudes just took someone down. Well, they took him down because he's still working while he's cooperating with them. And they look out, and I'm in my Benz S500, badass two-door coupe, and I get out and I take off, and sure enough, I see him coming out, man. And obviously he said something, like, oh, this guy's coming to me for money. He's just telling on everything he can and still being a rat. So they pulled me over that day, guns ablazing, hey, get out of the car, blah, blah, blah. Take the car. There's nothing in my car. Put me in holding, try to get me to snitch, something I've never done, never would. And had to release me and kept the car because it said a drug dog alerted on the trunk. I said, alerted? Did you find anything in the trunk? There was never weed in my trunk. I smoke a lot of weed, but there wasn't no weed in there. And they took the car. And then my cocky self, get my lawyer, go back, and I want the car back. We go back on a Monday. And my lawyer, Sheldon, who's in the back, talking to them by himself, I'm waiting outside once I'm released because he shows up for me. He's back there keeping it cool, and they're telling him, hey, we know you're doing this, we know you're doing that. And he comes out, he goes, Mac, give him the fucking car, you got all kinds of money. I go, what's up? He goes, man, because it wasn't in my name. And the guy whose name it was in vouched for me. And so we take off, I don't hear anything. So I leave, I leave. I go back to my house in Cabo, I'm killing some time and this and that. I will have some beautiful places I surf. And so I came back across like 6 months later, and I'm working on my product, Kitty Vac, which was the #1 touted pet product at the electronics convention in Vegas in 21. It was a sick ass invention, hooded litter box. I was an entrepreneur too, and I had like 600 grand in it. And so my wife's ex-husband or ex-boyfriend invented it, and I just took it over and produced it. That week, I had sent 5,000 units to the Home Shopping Network, and they jumped me at the post office. They were waiting, and that's where I first got arrested for this case that I'm in. And this is when it gets heavy. I got arrested by the state of Arizona. The feds declined to indict me for all the years I was smuggling, all the times I would empty out a stash house and they would show up, and I'd pull up with my lawyer and they'd run out to the car and I'd be like, hey, Ken Davis, he's like the main agent. I'd be swinging a miss. He's all, fuck you, Brandon, I'm going to get you. And my lawyer and I back out, and I just had one of my guys pull all the weed out, and because I would feel things, But this time they got me. They put a $1.8 million bond on me for a dry marijuana case. I'm in San Diego County waiting to get extradited to Arizona. And because Arizona's indicted me in the state, and I have a bond card, and I'm looking at it, and it looks like 170 grand, but there's all these zeros on it. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's a misprint. So I buzz up to the tower and I ask him, I said, hey, I'm about to bond out. Is this 170 grand, right? The guy goes, yeah, it's 170, it's 170,000. He goes, $170,000, 0.000. And I go, yeah, check them zeros, man. He comes back on the mic 15 minutes later, the little cell mic. He goes, your bond's $1.7 million. I go, huh? He goes, who did you kill? And I go, dude, nothing, man. My card says exportation, marijuana, importation, all that shit. No violence, no nothing. So they extradite me over, and it's Billy the Bulldog Rosen, the most notorious prosecutor in Arizona history. This woman would indict a hot dog in Circle K if it was too hot. Like, she is vicious. And they get me in there, and we're arguing for my bond, and finally the judge looks at it, he goes, this is ridiculous. Like, he tells her finally, after I've been in custody for like a month and a half, he goes, I'm gonna lower the bond to $800,000. So of course they do what's called the Nebula hearing. They wanna know where the money's coming from. So 2 friends of mine put up their pads for me, and I paid the $80,000, 10% to the bond agent, and I was out. And I'm out, and I'm free. And I'm living in California. Remember, they arrested me in Encinitas. So I'm allowed to go live back there. But I can also travel to Arizona, travel to Vegas, because I bonded out. Well, the case drags on because they keep coming at me and trying to get me to snitch. And they're threatening me. She's in the hallway with the drug agents going, "You're going to snitch." I go, "Bitch, I'm not going to do a fucking thing." I got Larry Debus and Tom Tinnis, the two best lawyers in the state. Larry Debus did the Miranda case. You have the right to remain silent. Larry Debus, and Tom Tinnis, he's just the best, you know. So I paid them $250,000. And with them came a private investigator by the name of Robert Sean Owens. So we're in the hallway arguing. "You're going to rat. Fuck you. I'm not going to rat." The PI is really crooked. This has been going on for a year now. We're going to all of our hearings and nobody's ready yet. They're dragging it on. The PI is finding shit out for me. He's finding out where my witnesses are for obvious reasons. He's finding out all kinds of shit. And in the melee, the prosecutor's now taking shots at my family, threatening my mother and father, made my mother faint, had some agents call there, said they're going to shake the house down. FYI, my parents are legal beagles. I would never stash nothing at their house. That's what amateurs do, put houses in their families' names. That doesn't work. But they threatened my mother, threatened my father. My little son, I just put him in school, Tyler, God rest his soul. He died when I was in there. He was murdered. And he had birth papers from Cabo San Lucas, and they were in one of the storage garages. When they snatched me in California, they found a receipt in the glove box for a storage where I had another AMG 500S brand new and some bulletproof vests and just a filing cabinet. It had his birth papers in it. Well, I just got him into school. He was really shy. You know, he's 7 years old at the time. And they take his birth papers, and I can't prove who he is. I'm about to enroll him, you know. And they let me enroll him. Get the papers, you know, and he's so shy, he was so cute. And so I called the DEA, Agent Struble. I called DEA on the phone. Agent Struble, who's calling? It's Mark, he knows me. And he put him on the phone. "Who is this?" I go, "This is Mark Brandon." He goes, "Oh my, man, you can't be calling me here." I go, whoa, man. I said, "You guys raided the storage garage. You took the Benz, and that cabinet next to the Benz was my kids' fucking birth papers. In Mexico, I can't go there and get duplicates. I'm out on bond. Can you just leave my son out of this fight? And can you quit fucking sweating my parents and all my friends that would travel?" Because I have wealthy, everybody, it was sweating them about, "You know him, blah, blah, blah." And they're pissed I won't rat. So he goes, "Oh, I'll look for it." I go, "Man, you ain't got to fucking look for it. It's right there." And of course, they don't give it back. And now I got to send his mother to Mexico, pay $20,000 to get a new one made because you can buy anything there. And it was just a hassle, man. And it was like they're taking shots at my family. Meanwhile, the crooked private eye, Robert Owens, little do I know, he's an ex-felon that was stealing from the dying elderly as a paramedic, just a maggot, kind of like a molestation charge, like you're stealing grandma's heirlooms. And when people are dying, he gets grabbed for that and gets like a 15-year sentence in the state. Before he becomes my PI, this is who he is. But while he's in the state, he somehow convinced the judge by snitching on a bunch of dudes in there that were doing drug deals on the outside and the inside to exonerate his record after 4 years, took him out of the prison and expunged his record. No record. Overnight. 4 years. Now he joins forces with my lawyers, Tom Tinnis and Larry Debus. He's in-house PI, and he's a working informant against his client with the drug task force while he's representing them. You've never seen a story like this. www.newtimes.com, Lord of the Lies. If you pull that up, that's about me. It's a 5-part series about everybody this guy's ever fucked over. And it's such a breach of a 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment violation. He's in the lawyer-client privilege, but he's giving information to the cops. He's got his office wired when we're talking. And I'm finding this out. I don't know it yet, but I find it out later, and this is how. We're out on bond. He's now showing me where the prosecutor lives. Yeah, I asked. He's telling me he's going to bug the jury room during my trial. That's easy. Then I can hear what the decision is, and I can leave before the verdict comes. Like, he was doing cool shit, finding people out for me, explaining how he's going to let me know the verdict. Because I was like, fuck trial, I'm leaving. I still had a lot of money. He's, no, just stay. I'll bug the jury room, you know. And he was doing this shit. And then when they finally come to their decision, I'll just tell you, don't go to the next day and leave because you're guilty. So finally, the prosecutor won't stop. They're pushing for trial, and right before trial, she files the Serious Drug Offender Act on me. Rarely used. Serious drug offender. Weed, mandatory life in prison if I lose that count. I had enough, man. Like, you fuck with my family, you fuck with my son, my mother. Like, that's bad for you to do that. And now you want me to rat, and I never will. And now you're going to give me life. You're going to try and give me life. So I'll be a little vague about this next part. So one night, she's at home, and someone else has showed up. We had her under surveillance, and they're not the only ones that can do that. And so we've been watching her, and she sits in this window every night on her computer and just still trying to put people away. She's all day, all night. She hates people, everybody. She's just a nasty, ugly woman. And scoped it out, made sure everything was cool, and made sure the silencers were quiet. And one night, when it's about to go down, there's a new vehicle in the driveway with Minnesota plates, a van. Never been there before. During the exchanges of whoever was involved, it was determined that fuck it, do it. Who cares who that is? Well, it was her brother, and he showed up. They were estranged. Even he hated her. And he showed up to reconcile, and she's on the computer every night, but back then the computers were big, and all you see is the forehead, the nose, the hair. Well, she's a short-haired lesbian, and he's just a skinny guy, and they kind of look alike, and the hair length, the color, and the blinds pulled down. And so that night, bullets started flying through the window, right? And right before they did it, she was on the computer and switched seats with him. She's sitting like from me to this thing right here next to him, and they're just lighting him up, bam, 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 and they hit him twice, once near the heart and neck, and drop him. And the 911 calls are crazy. I brought the articles last time and showed you oh my God, I think the computer blew up. She doesn't know it's happened yet. Those are bullets. Those are bullets, payback for everyone you've ever fucked, like the way you are. And her brother's bleeding out on the floor, dying. She finally realized that, it's bullets. The 911 gets there, and the emergency barely saved his life, cut the spleen out. Well, mission accomplished. She's off the case. Now she's in protective custody. But the next day, I'm in San Diego, and I'm driving down the freeway, and my lawyer, Larry Davis, calls me. Hey, Mark. Yeah, Larry, what's up? You won't believe what happened last night. I go, try me. And he goes, man, someone tried to kill Billy Rosen. And I'm like, tried? Like, come on, man. Like, I was kind of explaining that was a good one, Now her brother switched seats. He tells me, oh, fuck. But I didn't care. It's like, you fucked with my family there. That's one of yours. You know what I mean? You want to play this fucking game? We can do this, So that goes down. Everything's cool. I'm showing up to court dates after that, getting new counsel, for her, and the judge explained, oh, yeah, very nervous going in court after that happens. Serious shit, And the next day, there was a press conference on the news on every station where the prosecutor, the target, surrounded by ATF, FBI, NTF, DEA, and we're going to get whoever did this, and da-da-da. And I'm just smiling because I'm like, it was a clean hit, except one of the silencers came off when the guy jumped the fence, and it was on the ground. So after finding out there was no DNA on it, everything was cool. Again, the PI would go in, I'll talk to the detectives, like he's still like neck and neck with me doing his thing. And he is doing illegal shit and some cool shit, but he's also working as he's a dual agent. It's been verified. He got 11 years, but nothing related to the hit. They were very careful when they convicted Robert Owens, very careful that they didn't bring up stuff that would exonerate. I would have been out after 3 years if they didn't seal the hearing, which is what they did right before trial. They sealed the hearing and fired all my lawyers. I never got to know what happened in that hearing. That is so illegal. That is unbelievable not to be invited to the hearing. What they did was they took the PI and his made up shit, and some of it not, just the stuff that he knew he wouldn't get indicted on, and said I was going to kill the lawyers and all this and that, and that I'm crazy and I'm this. I've read the debriefings he did. And this Judge O'Toole, this crooked son of a bitch, took my lawyers, man. So now I've lost my lawyers, because after the shooting, right after the shooting, They came to Rancho Santa Fe to my house. Me and my mother are there. She's been visiting for a week. These guys wait till my mother's in the minivan. Now, remember, I'm out on bond. She's been seeing my son and my wife, best week of my life. And we're driving out from Rancho Santa Fe, and a CHP gets behind us, hits the flashers. I joke with her, hey, Mom, your tag's good? Come on, Mom. No, everything's perfect, I know. Go to the right, go to the right. He's guiding me to a gas station, and like 6 cars with like 20 agents jump out with MP5s and pistols and scare the fuck out of my mother, man. My mother just huddles, DA, freeze your fucking hands up. And I got my hands out the window, and I'm looking at my mom. She's like looking at me so terrified, you know, and I'm like, Mom, please get up, man. These dudes will shoot you. I said, Mom, just look at me, baby. And she did, and they arrested me. But the way they did it was I was in town every day that week. I would take my son surfing, or I'd be in town by myself. I'd be on the beach in my surf trunks. She could have arrested me down there. But it got so dirty and so ugly, they waited for that. And when they took me down was when all of a sudden now my lawyers are trying to get away from me. And their PI is totally trying to make this happen because, like, I'm like TNT, you know, like, and they did that. They took my lawyers. But before they took them, those 2 lawyers showed up at my federal hearing. I'm in custody on no bond now. And they're telling them, and I'm telling the court, hey, these are going to be my lawyers. I want them to represent me. Have they been paid? And my lawyer says, on the state matter, Your Honor, but these cases track each other. So you gonna be able to pay him? Yeah, I got some money. Where? The judge like, I got some land in Cabo. I'm gonna sell it. Okay, because I haven't been convicted yet. They can't touch it. So before I can even pay him was when they removed him off my case. So that's illegal too. Now I've got to go out, buy new lawyers. I'm in custody, but I go back into custody. I'm red flagged. I'm in the hole for a red flag, escape risk, everything for I guess, you know, danger. So when I'm in the hole, was when I got the call that they had been taken from me. I called their office. Hey, Tom, I need you to do this. Hey, we can't. We've been taken off your case. I go, what? Like how? How did this happen? I wasn't even there. Man, we can't talk about it, but you'll find out. And I'm like, fuck. So when I get in there, I'm going to speed it up. When I get in there, you know, I'm in custody now, waiting to go to trial. I finally end up going to trial, and everybody has flipped now. Everybody's flipped because after the prosecutor got shot up, I'm out on bond still before I get rearrested. I'm living in Rancho Santa Fe. My attorney, Sheldon Sherman, who's my co-defendant, who got arrested while he was arguing my bond. He's like arguing my bond. The judge tells him to step to the side. You're under arrest for laundering all Mr. Brandon's money. Like, this is like a crazy ass movie. I'm writing the book right now. So my lawyer's now my co-defendant. He's not my lawyer anymore. So this whole time I've been out on bond, my top lawyers are telling me he's going to flip. I go, he knows better. And he had like 500 grand of my cash he was holding, wouldn't give it to me. Sure enough, 1 month before the trial, he goes and flips. My lawyers tell me, they call me, they say, hey, Mark, bad news, Sheldon flipped. I said he did. And he lives 15 fucking minutes from me, and I've already allegedly hit the prosecutor. So about a week later, some guys had been at his house over and over trying to get him. Mask, guns, big house in the backyard waiting. Only one that's there is the wife and the kids, Sandy, and I like her, and I don't shoot kids. He never shows up. He's out of town. The third night they go back, neighborhood watch calls. They grab him. They got guns, everything. I called the burner phone, and one of the people in the hotel that was holding it for him said, in jail, needs help, San Diego. I'm like, holy fuck. Now they got the shooters that did the prosecutor and this. So I don't know my PI's a rat yet. I call him, I tell him, hey, you got to get over to San Diego. You got to bond these dudes out. You need to go talk to them, tell them I'm going to bond them out. Just go to one hearing. Their bonds are only 40 grand. And that's when the PI, who was doing everything dirty for me, said, fuck this, and went to the cops and just blew my shit up. And, you know, then those guys end up flipping. So when my federal charges come, I got murder for hire, use of a firearm and a crime of violence with a silencer, you know, smuggling, drug laundering, everything. And I went to trial and got slaughtered. I got 30 years for the trafficking of weed, 30 years for the use of a firearm and a crime of violence on the prosecutor. That's stacked. That's 60 years. Like, I'm done. I got life. So now I go into prison. And I got a few things to say about prison and some of these guys on the internet, you know, like Wes Watson, for instance. Because I went into prison and I eventually evolved into this gnarly convict, I guess you would say, with a lot of, you know, influence. For the audience, you know, look, I don't talk about it. I've never admitted this. All I'll say is that I've been validated Aryan Brotherhood since 2013. That's what they say. That's what the SIS, the wardens, the captains, they validated me in 13 as being one. I deny that. And there's no political ink on me whatsoever. I mean, come on, man. But it's hard when you're validated and the packet's deep, you know. And so it's funny because I was on websites and someone on, what was it, Fresh Out, had said, yeah, you know, shot caller, blah, blah, blah. And you'd have these trolls writing in, oh, he can't run the white, he got tribal ink on him, you know, this and that. These are waves that I earned surfing 20-foot surf on North Shore with the hui, with the fucking bradas in Hawaii. And the trolls that write in and shit would probably drown if they tried to surf 3-foot surf. Surfers are tough, man, you know, the ocean's gnarly. But what I'm saying is that if they just validated me, it means I'm not laying down in there. Like, I put my work in a lot. And these guys like Wes Watson, I heard some choice clip from that lame. He was on, I think, Vlad TV or one of them. And he said, yeah, man, because he's facing a case. He's going to go back. And nobody likes Wes because he runs his mouth too much. But what he said that I take exception to is he said, yeah, I can go to any yard, man. I got money. Whoever has money runs the yard. And that is such disrespect to dudes like myself and others that have done decades. I did 11 years in isolation, and I did 23 years inside total. And that's an insult to us. There's guys who are so tough, who put in so much work, who are so intelligent, are good men managing it's hard to manage deadly people, you know? And you're saying you could just come take a yard from someone like us? Like, fuck you, man. Like, you're a guppy. Go to a pen, dude. See what happens to you. You know, like, that's just it's disrespect. Because, you know, as you age out in prison, a lot of people, you lose money. Your family dies. There's guys I know that are brothers that are broke as shit. Man, they walk on a yard, they get whatever the fuck they want because they've laid the path, you know? But just things like that, like certain things I see. And, you know, I don't need to bash on that lame just to, you know, make myself look better. I'm just saying it's insulting. So while I'm in prison, you know, things get kind of hectic. You know, I ended up doing 11 years in isolation, made some sex offenders pay and enemies, you know, for what they did. Like, and you're seeing violence in there, like hand-to-hand combat with knives. Like, these are scars. All these are scars, you know, from fighting and riots and whatever. And over the years, as things went by, I started thinking I'm condemned. All my appeals failed because Janet Napolitano originally indicted me, then became governor of Arizona, and then became the head of Homeland Security. So all my appeals are going in, and I'm putting everything out there. The PI, he's working with them. You took my lawyers, Gonzalez-Lopez versus U.S. You can't do that. And every one of them is getting like rubber stamp denied without really much of an opinion. And anyone that knows appellate law would say, yeah, that deserves an opinion. So I go through all my appeals and I'm done. I'm sitting in there, I'm doing life. And I'm living like I'm doing life. And in 2016, the Johnson case comes along. And I'll be brief about, you know, the Johnson case. Basically, he got caught with a shot-off shotgun. It was under the limit, and they said since he possessed that shot-off shotgun, that's a crime of violence. Now, remember, I've been convicted of conspiracy to murder the prosecutor under the crime of violence statute. So my friend yells over, Jimmy Hodge, he goes, hey, Martin, you gotta check this case. It applies to you. I go, man, I can't. How? She got shot. Like, you didn't pull the trigger. Just says you brought him there. I said, what? And I couldn't understand it. So I started following the case, learning the law. I got telling my son, hey, boy, I'm going to come home. This applies to me. So the Johnson case morphs into the Damaya case, but it doesn't deal specifically with my type of 924C. It then went to the Begay case, and finally it got certiorari, which meaning the case was finally brought to the Supreme Court because half the U.S. was saying all crimes of violence under the residual clause, conspiracy, need to be voided because it's vague in language. It says any crime that creates a substantial potential risk of harm to another, and that is a vague description. And so, end of story. They grant certiorari to the Lamont Davis case. I was in Beaumont with them, and they said all 924Cs under the residual clause are illegal and unconstitutional. I get the 30-year sentence off me. I win. Pro se, I'm in the hole writing appeals, fighting with this prosecutor, and I beat him. I'm no lawyer. And I was conferring with a lawyer on the street, Sean Perez, but I was doing it. So when I beat that, now I get to go back and get resentenced. Now I've been in like 19 years at this time. And I go back to Arizona, and I'm getting resentenced, and my lawyer's saying, man, this is good because weed had then been made legal in at least 20 states. And that's our argument. Our argument is also this. You have the Benjamin Arellano, they're all rats. All them dudes, El Chapo, they're snitches. Like, they don't have no core fucking rule of morality. Like, they just all rat each other out. But we're using their case. Like, hey, he got 20 years. Man, they're one of the biggest names ever. I mean, and so we go in and we argue it, and we argue about legalization of weed, and my lawyer's just going on and on. The judge is listening, and the prosecutor's not even prepared. And luckily, they didn't bring nothing up about my prison life. She was so lazy, she didn't do a new PSR, pre-sentence report. So she didn't even have all the allegations of being AB and all that shit. And if I had that, she'd probably maxed me out. But she brought me to court, listened to everybody, and said, my lawyer's going, so in theory, Your Honor, this is just a marijuana case. And she takes her glasses. Mr. Perez, this is not just a marijuana case. And I go, oh no, I'm fucked. I'm getting sentenced during COVID. And she goes, we know Mr. Brannon hit the prosecutor. We know the shooters luckily got caught right before hitting Sheldon Sherman, his lawyer. And I'm going to give him 27 years for the marijuana alone. Like, and she maxed me out because I got what's called a CCE, Continuing Criminal Enterprise, like RICO. So I get 27 years. I got to pull about 22, 23. And then Donald Trump passed the First Step Act under Jared Kushner. It was like it's a new law that allows you to, go back in and take drug classes. And I've been in the hole so long, my points had dropped. Because I'm doing shit in there, but they don't even write me up. You take the team, you board up, let's fight. They don't give you enough food. Damn good one, Brandon. That was a good one. Like I was into running against them. But anyway, I end up getting out, man. I end up, getting another year off and an extra year of a halfway house due to the Donald Trump's First Step Act. And I made it to the gate, but barely. 1 month before I was due to be released, I had got into it with this cop on the yard, Salvador, and he was just an asshole. He'd be calling people, it's COVID, we all got masks, and we're standing in the pill line. And every white boy's coming out, I shake their hand, they come up, whatever, respect. And I look over, and he's like, Brandon, man, always you, man. I always got to fucking deal with you, And he just starts, and he's been doing this to a lot of guys. It's relevant to the story, so I'm not in the mood. I said, who are you talking to? Me? I go, hey, fuck you, man. Like, the lieutenant's office right there, we know we can go in there and fight with a cop in the old days. We can go in the holding cell, get him up, whoever wins, wins. Like, that's when Victorville was gangster back in the day. So he acts like we're gonna go. We storm into the tank. I turn around, now there's 4 cops following him out of the office, and he bitches up. So right after that, one of the lieutenants goes, get out of here, man. And they know what happened. So we're back and forth. 30 days before I get out, they surround me in the unit, tell me you gotta go. I go up and go into the hole again, nothing new. So I go to the hole, and they're surrounding me, and I'm going towards the hole by the medical, and there's a crash gate, and that's where you go, but they stop. And they take a left into receiving and delivery, R&D. And they take me, I'm wondering, they're gonna jump me. I figure they're gonna jump me for the shit with the Salvador cop. And I roll in there, and they're like, sit down. I go, no, thanks. I go, I'll fight on my feet. And they're the same what this is about. they said, listen, Brandon. You make relationships with them only because, you have to, but you never talk to them by yourself. They got to surround you and take you, We always talk to them with somebody. So they say, yeah, there's a new gung-ho AUSA, United States Attorney, says he's going to pull a RICO on the Aryan Brotherhood, and you're going to be in it 30 days before I go home. This is their trick, because most guys will flip right then and there. And I said, oh, yeah? About what? It's about a gnarly murder that happened in 13. That's why we all got shipped out of Victorville. Basically a decapitation, 63 stab wounds on one of some guy that was Aryan Brotherhood. And I get wrapped up in that, but they never prosecute the case for like 10 years. So they threatened me with that right before I go home, and I'm proud of this. And I said, you know what? I guess I'll just get a bet at ADX. Like, they're talking to him on the phone. I said, call my lawyer. I guess I'll get a TV in ADX. Like, fuck you. I'm not telling on nobody ever. And some other people took the bait. Some made people took that bait. And they flipped right before they got out, because dudes will do that. They're tired of doing time. They don't want no more time. And so those last 30 days were hell, Mark, because I'm thinking they're just going to grab me. And my release date comes up, I go to R&D. I'm shaking everybody's hand. I got a good reputation. And I'm just sitting in there waiting for the goal. It's the worst feeling in the world. And my girl's out front. Christine's out front. And I'm like waiting for the fucking feds to grab me. It's a sick feeling, But I'm institutionalized now, and that's where I'm comfortable. I live there. It fucks you up after a while, being in there so long. And I'll be damned, they let me out. And when she was driving me from Victorville Penitentiary, because I had done the whole circle, I'd been shipped out of there in 13, did the whole East Coast. I broke the record. I did 7 penitentiary transfers from the SHU in 5 years. So I was busy, And I never thought I was going to get out. And so when we're driving down the freeway, getting there, I was like, can you take me across the border? I don't want to stay. I think they're going to come after me, because they've threatened to indict me, and I'm going to a halfway house. I'm still in custody. Luckily, I pull off the halfway house by a miracle. I've done all kinds of bad shit in there. And I'm a month from the halfway house. I call the death penalty lawyer, Mark Donatelli. He does all the big MH cases, the Aryan Brotherhood case, death penalty cases. He's a specialist out of New Mexico. And I called him the day after Thanksgiving. I'm like, a month and a half from getting released from the halfway house, because my lawyers tell me, they're going to grab you before you leave. He thinks they're going to. And so I call him day after Thanksgiving, and the girl answers the office. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. I go, hey, this is Mark. Mark Brandon, call him at home. She goes, okay, boom. He calls me back in 2 minutes. Mark, what's up? I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? I go, how they doing? Because I did a deposition for the defense of those 2 men that were facing the death penalty. Huff and Sam. I'm on their team. They've come and interviewed me so I can tell my side of the story that gets the death penalty off them, whatever that may be. So I called Donatelli, and he goes, man, I'm good. I go, what's up with the case? What happened? You didn't hear? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear. I haven't called you in a year. He goes, because this is an 11-year-old murder case. He goes, oh, man, I got Huff life. I got Sam 15 years. But that's not the best of it. And I go, what is it? He goes, I stipulated no RICO. Saved my life. Saved my fucking life, man. Like, because I knew they were going to do it. I just knew, they do that to all the big gangs. Like, you barely see ever, especially with the MA, because they're more in the neighborhoods. They're getting, whatever, they link them to conspiracies even from prison. And a lot of guys don't get out. Because they hit you because you're on the phones or whatever. But it was a blessing. I got out, and when I got out, it was just unbelievable, because in 2016, when I'm telling my son I'm going to come home and this and that, when I was in prison, he was being raised by his aunts and uncles, the Pratt family, good family, because he got along good with my nieces and nephews, his cousins. And so he lived in this house in Vista and attended Vista High School. And one day in high school, Tyler rounds the corner, and his cousin was getting jumped by these 4 Asian kids. They were beating his ass. And I believe it was Corey, not Jason, but one of his cousins. And he just saw it and jumped in and helped him fight him off. It was a 4-on-1, and it was the end of the story. It was just a fist fight. So 4 years later, Tyler's now moved out of his uncle and aunt's house to where they raised him. He's got his own house in Fallbrook. He's taken after dad. He's growing bud. You know, he's cool. Great kid. Anyway, so he goes back on Christmas Eve to exchange gifts. And he's in the house, and this kid, one of the kids that was in the fist fight, is getting initiated into a gang, and he's waiting out front in his little car with a pistol. He's waiting for Tyler's cousin, my son's cousin, to come out. That's who he wants to kill, to get in this gang or shoot. And my son walks out of the house first and goes out to his truck. I think his phone rang, and they said he had to go out to his truck. And as he was walking to the street, the kid saw Tyler and was just like, fuck, that'll work, and shot my son 3 times in the chest. And, you know, that's the worst thing ever that can happen. And it's like when I got the news of that, I was in the hole in Big Sandy, and they came to my door, lieutenants. Hey, Brandon, we need to talk to you out here, cuff up. And I'm in there with Alan Shelby. Alan Shelby's probably one of the baddest fucking white boys as far as abilities in fighting and knife fighting in the whole system. Everyone that sees this, anyone that knows Alan knows. And he's my cellie. And I said, man, I'm not going to come out there by myself. We don't do that, not in my car. We're like, man, fuck you. We're both coming, or you can come get us. And I told him that. I said, man, you know I ain't talking about. And he's looking at me, so it ain't like that, Brandon. Fuck it, Alan, go ahead, Shelby, cuff up. So they take us out, but they're putting double shit on me. 2 ankles. They don't even give him ankles, and black boxing me. Not black boxing, they belly chained me twice, but when I got out there, they put another black box on me, which is a restrainer, so you can't get out, no way. And right when we got out there, there's a pastor, or priest, or whatever the fuck he was. And I just looked, and I said, who was it, man? My mom or my dad? I naturally think that's who it is, you know? And I told Alan, go ahead and go back, man. He goes, I'm sorry, man. I goes, I'm sorry. I hope everything's as good as it can get. Alan says he goes back. He did 31 years. And they took me in that office, man. It was like I'm shackled like a fucking turkey at Thanksgiving. I'm wrapped up. And I go in there, and there's like 4 giant cops and another couple other littler ones, and, you know, the chaplain's there, whatever, the priest, and fucking, they go, hey, Brandon, your son's been murdered. Your son. And anyway, I'm in cuffs, and so my natural instincts is just anger, violence, and I'm trying to get out, I'm trying to back up. I can't slip this shit. They got a lot of it on me. Like, we're trained to get out of those things, you know, with slips and, you know, things like that, banging them on the wall right and separating the teeth. And I'm freaking out, man. And then they put me on the phone, my dad. My dad's just he's my hero, man. He's a military dude, and him and my mom. And I remember I was talking to him on the phone, and my dad's, and there's snot. I can't touch my face, man. They're having to reach over and wipe it. And it's like I'm like, man, what happened? And my dad's like, Mark, hold it together. Don't take your life. Don't do that. Your mother couldn't handle it, because they know how much I loved him. We all loved him. He was such a good kid, you know. But, yeah, it was so painful. And after the murder, they finally let us out to rec. I'm in Inez, Kentucky. I'm in Big Sandy Penitentiary, man. And it's 27 degrees out, like, and you know, and it's Christmas Eve. He killed my son on Christmas Eve, man. You know? Fuck. And so it's 27 degrees. I go out to those fucking rec cages, and I'm going out. I know what I'm going to do. And I'm rolling out, and everyone's huddled up in their jackets, and big homie, respects. Everybody knows the whole range. Word spreads in the hole, you know? And I go out there, and they put me in my cage, and I just stripped down, man. It's sleet, rain, fucking gnarly cold, 27 degrees, windy. Well, we can get through the walls. And I stripped down to my boxers and my fucking slides, my shoes, those little Gilligan shoes. And I just start doing burpees, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's so cold, and I don't stop. I do a whole hour of them. My tears are frozen on my face, man. Like, it's just, and I'm looking up, my chest is hurting. I'm like, I'm not shaking, but I'm getting into hypothermia zone, you know? And my heart would start to hurt, because I'm pushing like I've never pushed. And I'm, come on, kill me, motherfucker, like you want me to? You know, like, I wanted to die, but I'm not going to kill myself, you know? I refused to come out on the first call, and they said, Brent, I said, man, you come in here, we're going to fight, man. They have some heart. They're like, damn. And I saw another side of those cops. When my son was murdered, like some of the highest ranking people in there and the screws that worked there would come into my door and, hey, we're really sorry about that, And usually, there's always going to be respect, but it's usually, not. I've never seen a side of them like that. It was interesting to see compassion shown because they're trained not to do that, but they did it for me. Anyway, on the second pull, they left me out there. I went into hypothermia, fucking froze up, fucking almost got my fingers cut off. And oh yeah, it's a hell of a place to lose your kid, man.
Fuck, what a horrible story.
Yeah, and but I think of him every day. His spirit's up there, man. He's up there, he's good. He's up there.
Amazing. Gang initiation.
Yeah, nice, huh?
Stupid.
Yeah.
Just so stupid.
Fucking idiotic, man. Yeah, but it makes you think, like about life and just like, what if I would have just not fought back? What if I wouldn't have made such a spectacle, but that's the man I was, Like, if you got a case against me, prosecute me. And if you got the goods, good, let's plea out. No plea bargain was ever offered to me. It's a dry marijuana case. You didn't catch me with anything. No money, no guns, no cash. No money, no guns, no weed. No phone calls, nothing. And you indicted me, and they got me, and they just pushed and pushed. But I can tell you this, years after that prosecutor got shot, I'd be getting letters, hey, thank you. There's been a book written, Rescue, Not Arrested. The guy's got religion. He goes, because of me, because I ended her career, she was giving him like a 13-year plea for nothing. The minute a new prosecutor came on his case, 5 years, 3 years, or whatever. And it just showed you that, look, there's good and evil in every people. There's good and evil in every race. Like, you can't really blanketly judge people, But she was evil incarnate, And so the fact that I sacrificed my life, and unfortunately probably the life of my child because he wouldn't have been there, others have, gotten freedom and hopefully made their lives better, And now I'm doing a really cool thing out here in closing. I've started a community course called Thriving the Impossible, and I've done a lot of filming. I'm about to really blow it up on the internet. And Thriving the Impossible is my version of how to coach people to deal with PTSD and depression. Because I'll tell you, have someone take all your money, and I had millions, lock you up, you lose your wife. While you're inside, your only son gets murdered, and you're doing 11 years in isolation, piece by piece, 2 here, 1 here. Like, I did a hard time, really hard time, but I made the best of it. And so now what I've done is I've even talked to people, my good friend Mitch Farner now, who lost his child recently, I met him through Scott Chandler, and we've bonded. I've talked him through it, After the death, I said, this is what's going to happen. You're going to experience this, this, and this. And he's like, God, man, it's like, just to hear the way I can impact others and teach them how to deal with such horrible shit. Whether, and I'm all about the military, man. Like, like I see what these guys go through. And, I just, the way my course operates is I invite people into a community and there's a methodology. Like, for me, I would get up every morning. I'm trying to keep a regular schedule, but I'm in a box and you can barely see the sun. And, you get up early in the morning, you stretch, you do your yoga, and then you meditate, clean your body out, just inhale all the good stuff, any good thing you have. And a lot of people in it don't have much, but you got to hold on to that and then exhale all the poison. It's kind of like locusts. It's kind of like when I help someone through the death of their kid, it's like the Green Mile, the big black dude, when he could magically suck the locusts out of the people that had cancer. That was a hell of a movie. And that's how I feel afterwards. I'm so drained because I've had to live their new experience, but inside I'm tore up because I'm talking about mine too. So, but I enjoy it, man, and I love helping people, man. And so all this shit happened, and I've still come out semi-normal. I've definitely was institutionalized a little bit, but I've graduated into society. I can have really good conversations with people. I've read 900 books, so I really got an education in there. And, it's going to be good. I even got to meet Mel Gibson a couple of times. The first thing he says, damn, you should be doing voiceovers. But I used to do them, and that's the secret to my movie. I'm going to do it. It's called Southern Enterprise, the Mark Brannon story. Some of the names have been changed to protect the guilty. Still doing it. And I'm going to narrate that movie. That's why I'm building myself up now, because I'm writing the book. I'm not just going to sell that shit for cheap, because there's no story like this. Like, it's incredible, man. Like, so many stories I have, and what happened, I couldn't even condense it into the show. But it's all that goes on, and now I'm spiritual, but I'm not really into God, but I'm spiritual. Something's running this world. I'm not convinced of much, but I can tell you this. I'm out here for a reason. This happened for a reason. And when I beat that shooting, I had already pled out to it in the state. They tried to re-indict me again, put me in the state when I was already in custody. And that time ran together. So in essence, I didn't do 1 day for that shooting. And they just buried me for the weed. But it's a crazy story, man. I mean, I did coming on your platform, dude. This is a man that looks like really young for his age, and I kind of got it too. So
you do.
You're like a brother in arms, you know. But
that's one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard, Mark.
It's crazy, man. And I got all the paperwork, and people say that no way that happened. I'm all. But when I write the book, I'm gonna get a ghostwriter soon. I actually started working with a guy. And, you know, I see certain guys on the internet I really like Gary Dotson, Bumper, hardline skinhead, you know, cool-ass dude, you know. He has his internet thing going. Gary's cool, you know, Bumper. You know, and he's doing good. He's doing the right thing because, you know, you talk to people via the internet. And he and I know for a fact, he's real. You see him, he's legit. Me and him been on yards together. And we've had just some great conversations like, man, I'm just staying away from this, staying away from that. Like me, I can't communicate with anyone in there. If I do, they'll just pull me in, RICO, violation of your parole. And, you know, I'm doing parole good. I don't use drugs. I work out obsessively. I've gotten a ton of surgery since I've been out because they don't give you no medical in there. And I feel like I just came like out of Auschwitz or something. I'm just like, fuck, I can't. They had me so skinny in some of them holes, I was 175, you know, and I carry about 205 on me all the time. And it's just gnarly, the mistreatment in there that goes on. There's so many lawsuits against them, but like I said, there's good and bad on every side. We just got to do what we got to do now.
You're an amazing dude, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Man, yeah, I love being on here. I love it.
Love having you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thank you. When I was designing the first Soft-White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft-White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft-White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.